Hey my YouTube friends, welcome to Helpful Home Hacks. The purpose of the Triple H channel, not to be confused with The Wrestler, is to provide helpful tips and tricks to simplify your everyday life, increase productivity, and improve your overall well-being. We'll explore some simple DIY projects, as well as hone some life skills to better your life. If that sounds like something you'd like, simply click the subscribe button, smash that like button, and click the notification bell to be notified when a new video drops. Let's get started. So you decided to hook up a rain barrel for a variety of reasons. Maybe you wanted to save the environment, maybe you wanted to save some money, reduce your water bill, or maybe you know that the rainwater is more nutrient than your municipal water. In either case, it was a great decision. You've taken the time to source the barrels, you've got the kit, you've got it all hooked up. Now when you turn on the water, you realize you have no pressure. So today's video is dedicated to just that. How are we going to solve that problem? So what we're going to do is hook up a pump system to increase the water pressure. As you might know, when you turn on the water at your hydrant, the water pressure is really good to water your plants with. It comes out at about 40 to 50 psi. That's pounds per square inch. So in order for the rain barrel to do the same thing, it's simple physics. Basically, you have to elevate the rain barrel to a height that is going to increase the water pressure. So for every 1 foot of height, you're going to get approximately 0.43 water pressure, or PSI, coming out the faucet. So in order to get 40 or 50 PSI, essentially you'd have to have about a 100-foot water tower. So that's not really feasible. So how are we going to increase that pressure? Well, we're going to use a pump in order to do this. Now there's a lot of pumps out there on the market. There's simple transfer pumps. Basically you just hook a hose up to your barrel, you hook the other end to the transfer pump, to your garden hose, and then you just water with that. I didn't choose this system because there is no mechanism in there to kind of stop the pump when needed. So I would have to turn it off at the switch or pull the plug. If you have a garden hose with a water fitting at the end of it that's going to impede the water, it's going to build up pressure in the hose, and you're either going to blow the hose or you're going to damage the pump. So that wasn't a great alternative. There are other pump systems out there. There's submersible pumps. I checked into that. Most of them are used to circulate water, or again, constant pumping of the water, similar to a fountain. So in my case, I had 2 barrels. I didn't want to get 2 submersible pumps. I realized that I can hook the 2 barrels together, use 1 pump, but at the same time, it just wasn't advantageous. I didn't want to cut holes in the top of the barrel to do this. So I settled on what's called an on-demand pump. And these are typically found in RVs, boats, other applications that require on-demand water, meaning that when I pull the trigger, turn on a faucet, it is going to start pumping. When I stop the flow of water, the pressure switch in the on-demand pump will stop the pump from pumping and reduce the possibility of burnout. So let's get started. I'll show you some different solutions here that will work for you. We'll start with the cheapest alternative, and then we'll roll into what I did, which was to build a water-resistant case for it so I can always keep it outside. So I purchased a pump from Amazon. The brand here is VivoSun. This particular one is rated at 4 gallons per minute. So I picked this one also because of some of the adapters that come with it. So if I'm just looking for a very simple solution, I can simply use this pump, plug it in, plug up my water hose, and be ready to go. So as you can see, the pump is fairly small, probably measures about 8 to 9 inches in length. Diameter is probably roughly about 5 to 6 inches. Once you get the fittings and everything set on there, this will probably be about 10 inches wide, and again about 9 to 9.5 inches long. It comes with a screener, so this is going to be on the inlet where the water comes in, flows into the pump. This just gets out large debris items, keeps it from clogging up the impeller and other pump parts there. Comes with hose fittings, so you've got your garden hose fitting, 3/4 inch garden hose, male end, and a 3/4 inch garden hose female end. We'll see where these go in just a second. Okay, and then you have some quick connects if you choose to just hook a hose up to it. That will be the method that I'll wind up using shortly, but for now we're just going to explore the option of hooking up the garden hose fittings here. So these do come with another element, which is Teflon tape. So we're going to use this to basically seal the ends here, and when we put on our fittings, it should be waterproof. So we'll remove the caps at the very end. After you put on your Teflon tape, we'll simply screw the fittings to the end of these. You want to probably wrap that maybe 3 or 4 times to get a nice, good seal. You'll follow the arrows that are printed on the pump itself. This is going to be the inlet, water coming in. This is going to be the outlet, water going out. So we're going to take our 1/2 inch MPT fitting on this side and screw it on here. So you also do the same on your strainer. Again, just getting probably 3 or 4 wraps around there. Just want to get a nice tight seal. We'll take our garden hose fitting, our female garden hose fitting, and then we'll actually screw it on using the 1/2 inch MPT side of this. Make sure it's on good and tight. Then we'll actually do the male end, screwing the 1/2 inch MPT female end onto the pump. Make sure it's good and tight. You know, you don't want to torque it down. This is plastic, this is metal. The more you torque it down, the more damage you could possibly do to that plastic fitting there. And then we're just going to screw on our strainer. Again, you want to make it good and snug, but don't over torque it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. This is the cheapest way to implement getting pressure on your garden hose from the rain barrel to your garden. So this just plugs into a 110 volt outside plug. So make sure that if you do plug it in, you're plugging it into a GFCI outlet. This has a built-in breaker in the outlet so that if the pump overheats or gets water damage causing any kind of electrical short, the circuit will break and eliminate any other damage to the pump or your home. So that works great. The only downside there is that I always have to unplug it before any kind of storm, so I have to remember if a storm is coming. This is, somewhat resilient to water, but it's definitely not waterproof. You don't want to submerge it in water. If it gets a little damp, a little bit of moisture on it, it would probably hold up fine, but you don't want to leave it outside in the elements and have to worry about that. So there are things that you could do to maybe just have a barrier from the rain. You could probably just take a Rubbermaid container or some sort of plastic container, simply set it over this pump, letting your lines come in and out underneath that. You probably place a rock or something heavy on top of that to kind of keep it in place. Again, I'm looking for something a little bit more permanent. I will take this in during the winter months, but for spring, summer, and fall, I'll probably just want to leave it in place, even possibly leave it plugged in. So simply it's ready to go anytime I pull that trigger. Okay, so tools that you're going to need. You'll need a screwdriver, probably need a wrench. If not a wrench, you'll need a socket. This will be to screw the pump into a box. You'll need some drill bits. We're going to need a 1/2 inch in order to put the inlet and outlet valves on the outside of the box. We'll need this to drill a little bit of a hole for our cord to sit on top of the box, going out of the box. And then we'll need this to drill some holes to secure the pump to the box. So you'll want to get some good scissors. We're going to need these to cut the hose. Actually, if it says Cuisinart on it, don't use that. Your wife will be mad at you. Let me find a better pair of scissors. Here's some that'll probably work. If you don't use scissors, you can also use a pipe cutter. This actually works even better. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then you'll either need some silicone or a glue gun to kind of seal some of the entry points that we create in the box to make it more water resistant. Now, this box is not going to be waterproof. Don't want to mislead anybody here. Waterproof and weather resistant or water resistant are two different things. Waterproof means that we'd be able to submerge this underwater for an extended period of time. Water resistant means that it'll repel the water, keep most of it out, 99.9% of the time, but some water intrusion can happen, but hopefully it's minimal and it won't be enough to damage our pump. Okay, so let's talk about some of the parts that we're going to need in order to build this project. Obviously we need our pump that we talked about earlier. We're going to need a good box, again a water resistant. If you can find a waterproof box, that's fine, but water resistant should be just fine for our needs. They're going to be less expensive than any kind of waterproof proof box that you build. This right here will need a hose. This will provide the inlet going into the box and also the male end coming out of the box. So we'll hook this to our rain barrel. We'll hook this piece to our garden hose. And you probably need an extension cord. So this could be outside the box to extend that cable coming out of the box. In my case, I'm actually going to install it in the box itself, and then it will come out the side here to plug into the wall. You'll need fittings. These right here are going to be what they call a bulkhead through wall fitting. So we've got a 1/2 inch coming in and a 1/2 inch going out. We're going to use this to essentially put on each side of the box, one for our inlet, one for our outlet. Due to where I'm going to mount the strainer, it's actually going to mount off of my inlet, and we're going to go into the strainer with this 1/2 inch MPT fitting, and then we're going to come out of that and then go into the pump, which you'll see in a minute. I also got some angular connections, so I was just one short on this. I found this kit on Amazon. They had 2 in it, so I'll just be using one of those. And then we're going to use, for the internals, we're going to use some of this hose to go from our inlet around through the pump and then out. So I am going to need some 1/2 inch hose clamps there. So I bought this kit again on Amazon to help with that. Okay, we're going to need some hardware to basically mount the pump to the bottom of the box to keep it from moving around in there. This may not necessarily be a requirement, but if you're planning on later possibly mounting this box on a fence or a post, this right here will keep the pump stable so it's not shifting around in the box. I'm going to go ahead and do that. These are stainless steel screws. I got these at Home Depot, but I'll put a link to those in the description as well. You could probably find these on Amazon just the same. And then I also got the nuts. These are nylon nuts, and these nylon lock nuts will help hold these in place. Okay, so let's get started here. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to explore the box here. It's a nice ammo box. It comes with a rubber seal in the top, so that's going to be how it remains water resistant. We're going to take our pump. I'm actually not using these 2 fittings. Again, I bought the kit because that it did come with those fittings to kind of test that functionality out. But for the purpose of what I need it for, these are no longer applicable. Now, if I put this in the box, you can see that it kind of comes right up to the edge there. So I guess, I could breach a hole in each side of the box there, but I'm going to do it slightly different because that's not quite enough room for me to get those bulkhead fittings in there. So what I've decided to do, let's go ahead and remove the strainer on this side. I still want the strainer, but I'm going to put it in I'm going to relocate that. That's what this fitting is going to be used for. I'm going to go ahead and get some Teflon tape. So again, this is a 1/2 inch MPT mill fitting with a 1/2 inch diameter barb. And this barb is actually exactly the right size that's going to go into the inner diameter of this hose. The link to any of these parts are going to be in the description below, so feel free to click on that if you'd like to order it straight from Amazon. Okay, let's go screw that on. Again, I could use, a crescent wrench or some sort of pipe wrench to get that on, but I really just need it good and hand tight at this point. So the reason I'm using this is because I'm going to use one of these quick connects. Again, also has a 1/2-inch barb on the end here. I'm going to use that right here on my pump. Okay, and then I'm going to point it to the rear of the pump. Just good and snug. Again, you don't want to torque it down too hard. Okay, and then I'm going to need a straight fitting to come off the back of the strainer. Okay, so this is what it's looking like so far. I'm going to have a hose that connects between those fittings there. I'm going to have another hose that connects from here to one of these bulkhead barb fittings, and then I'll hook my hose directly off that. Okay, so on the other side of this, we're going to have another angle fitting coming off of the outlet on the side of the pump. Okay, in this case, I'm going to have the outlet coming off this side of the box. So my inlet will be coming in, go through the strainer, into the pump, through the outlet, through the bulkhead barb fitting, and then through a hose that will end with a garden hose male fitting, which I'll hook to my regular garden hose. We'll position this with the mounting plate roughly. The first two holes will be kind of in the center of the box. And the reason for that is I want to allow enough room to be able to get a hose between these two fittings that I'm going to install there. Okay, so you can mark the bottom two holes that we're going to wind up drilling through the case. Excuse me, the bottom 4 holes that we're going to drill through the case. Another effective method is simply put your drill bit that you're going to actually drill the holes with. If you want to put a board or something underneath this, you definitely don't want to drill into your table. Make sure you don't snag any wires and just go straight down. At this point, we're just kind of marking it. You could drill all the way through it, but I'll finish that out by taking the pump out. As you can see, we've got our hole started, and I'm just going to proceed to drill through it. I'm not going to set the hardware in place quite yet. I'm just going to use it so the pump doesn't move around, and then I can mark where I'm actually going to drill the inlet and outlet. So again, here's my stainless steel screws that I'm going to put up underneath the unit through these little rubber dampers, and then I'll have a nut on the back side that kind of holds it in place. It's pretty snug. Go ahead and use my drill to kind of screw these in. Just going to put one in each opposite corner. If you use a slightly bigger drill bit, they'll just slide right through it, which is fine, just not too big. Okay, so again, my goal is to position it, go in this direction. Okay, and then my bulkhead fitting, I want to kind of line it up fairly straight in line with this. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we're pretty close to that. Just going to take my marker again. You want to make sure that if you're going to get a wrench or something in there, you can actually turn this nut all the way. Something like that. And then I'll kind of do the same on this end. We'll do the similar on this side. Okay, so we can slide this out for now. We'll go ahead and put our 1/2" drill bit on. Go ahead and set our box upright. Use the board for leverage here if I need. And then we're just going to do a dead center. Okay, that's about right. It's not moving left or right. It's nice and snug when I tighten that down. You can see it does have a hole. that we're actually going to slide over the bolt that we put in there previous. Okay, so it looks like this is just slightly smaller than that clamp, but that's all right. We got drill bits to fix that. Go ahead and slide it on. Like that. And then kind of position it where we can get our extension cord through here. And then we're going to put the other side and then push that down. I'm just using my crescent wrench to kind of get over the top of it and then push it down all the way. Okay, so I've got them just slightly started here, and those are 5/16. I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down. These do have rubber dampers at the bottom. It's meant to kind of help with the vibration. So you don't want to over torque it. You really just want it kind of seated in there, so it's not going to shake around the box. Now, depending on how large you enlarge the holes to get these bolts through, you may actually have to hold a screwdriver on the back side to keep that from turning. You might find it actually easier to just kind of hold the nut in place from this side, and then actually use the screw on the back side. Just kind of tighten that up. So now this is what we've got so far. Still need to cut our notch here. We need to position our cable inside the box. I think I'll wrap that around this direction. I'll go ahead and make my connection. Make sure it's snug. And then I'll find a way to kind of twist this back up. Then we'll slide that down in the box. So let's move on to making our notch to get our extension cord out. So So we want a drill bit that's roughly the size of the cable here. This one looks like it's 5/16. We'll start with that. We can always make it a little bit wider with a larger drill bit. Okay. Again, we're going to determine exactly where we want to position it. I think this right here. This about an inch from the edge works pretty well for me. Go ahead and mark that. And then I'm just going to use my drill bit. You can use other things. Dremel will probably work really well in this case. But we're just going to kind of notch this out. Now we'll try to walk on you a little bit. So you want to kind of hold things in place where you can. However, once you get started and you got a little divot there, it just makes it easier to kind of continue down. You may have to clean your bit from time to time because it tends to just kind of clog that up so it doesn't cut as deep. See, I'm starting to make some headway there. I want to go, below the surface here. Maybe 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. Okay, let's test it out. So it's down below the edge. I can push the box down. It does kind of flare out just a little bit there. So we have two choices. We can go a little bit deeper on the side, or we can cut a little relief notch right here, so it comes up a little bit higher. I'm going to try to probably do a little bit of both. I'll go down just a little bit lower on the side of it, and then just kind of mill out this top edge so it kind of goes over the cord. Again, probably easier with a Dremel. Okay, we'll clean it up a little bit. Let's just test it. That looks pretty good. Nothing's moving around. I got my 20-foot cord there. So I'll probably just use a utility knife to kind of clean this up a little bit. Okay, so it's pretty good. It's pretty cleaned up. Maybe not perfect, but good enough for what we need. So next, we're going to secure that in place. We're going to use our hot glue gun, and that's going to do two things. Going to kind of lock that where we want it. Secondly, it's going to help prevent water intrusion through this seal. Okay, so we'll get a nice bead going on the top here. We don't really have to go very high. Again, we want it to seat against that rubber seal. And we'll put a little bit on the back side, kind of hold it in place. And there you have it, a completed box that is water resistant. It's got our 20-foot cable. We can seal it. It's sturdy, nothing shakes around in there. If I did want to mount this to the fence, I could get some screws, probably use some rubber grommets in between, but drill the holes first through the box. I'd probably recommend doing it on one of the deeper parts of the box and then screw that directly into the fence. I'm not going to do that. Again, I want this semi-portable so I can put it up in the winter. But there you go. That's how you build a water-resistant rain barrel pump system. So here's the finished product. All we got left to do is test it. Just kind of show you the inside here. Everything's hooked up. Just ran the line behind my rain barrels, and then we're going to plug it into this outlet. Again, remember, you want to plug into a GFCI certified outlet. Okay, so how did we do cost-wise on this project? Well, here's the breakdown. You can see I spent roughly around $145 plus tax on this. Now keep in mind that I did not include the cost of the tools that I used. I actually had these on hand. You may have to purchase some of these, so keep that in mind, but it is a great investment for future projects. I also feel like I could have cut some corners here and there. For instance, I did have an old extension cord and I had some odd and end nuts and bolts that I could have used. I also had a small cargo bin that I could have just drilled some holes in, slid the hose through it, attached it to the pump, and then just sealed that off with a glue gun. All of these things would have brought my overall cost down, so also consider these as options for your project. Well, thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click that subscribe button, smash that like button, and click that notification bell for the next video. Looking forward to creating some new projects. Thank you.